and I'm going to start to talk a little bit about how we can start to scale up now. And what that means is just like, okay, you've got, some initial tests. Say you're spending $100 a day, whatever, getting a few sales a day. Just not really being specific with numbers here, but scaling means that you're spending X amount of money, making X amount of sales. Well, you want to make more sales, and you want to make as many as possible, which means you need to spend more on ads. So spend more on ads and getting more sales is what I mean by scaling. So your main goal from the very beginning should be to run some tests to get some conversions, and then as soon as that's happening, your next goal, the next thing you want to happen is get to like couple hundred conversions as quickly as you can, because you want to be able to start creating lookalike audiences. And I'll explain what that is, I guess, right now. So a lookalike audience is basically like once you've got a couple hundred, let's just go with that, or a lot more people that have purchased from you from the same country, then you can tell Facebook to look at those people and say, hey, Facebook, create me an audience, find me more people just like these people, create me an audience of them, and then I'm going to run ads to that audience. And the reason that that's so effective is because if Facebook can look at the data on these people, find you a huge audience of people very similar to those people, then it's really likely that if you run your ad to that new audience, that new lookalike audience, you'll get conversions and a lot more sales. Way more that in theory, and it does work this way, that should be way more effective than just interest targeting, detailed targeting, running your ads to cold audiences. And one thing that I like to do is create as many lookalike audiences as frequently as I can and just constantly be testing lookalike audiences. I even like to get to the point where I'm more focused on testing lookalike audiences than I am interest or detailed targeting. And then you can also, once you've already honed in on your detailed targeting that works, your interests, behaviors, age ranges, gender, stuff like that, then you can apply all that inside of your lookalike audiences. Not that you have to. If you've got enough data and your ad's good and everything, you can even just run, like once you can create a lookalike audience, you can just run your ad straight to the lookalike audience without even any targeting at all and still get some good sales, and that might work perfectly fine for you. But then also throwing in your detailed targeting that you figured out that already works is also a really smart thing to put inside, or to narrow your lookalike audience through. And so as soon as there's enough data for me to create a first lookalike audience, I do that. I do a 1%, 3%, 5%, just create like 3 or 4 different, probably like 3. I'll probably create like 3 different lookalike audiences. And also another thing that I do is just create even just a 1% lookalike audience, but create a new one 2, 3 different times. So you're just creating 3 different 1% audiences, and each time Facebook's going to find you a little bit different of an audience, and then run an ad and test those audiences, those 3 different lookalike audiences, and see which ones work. So that's kind of how I approach lookalike audiences. And then as soon as there's more data, meaning I've made more sales, more conversions, like another couple hundred conversions or whatever, maybe even 50. At 50 more, I'll try it. But then go in and create another lookalike audience. And then there's a few different ways you can actually set up your lookalike audiences, and I think it's good to test all of them. So like for example, you can, if you have your email list of your customers, you can upload that to Facebook and create a lookalike based off of uploading the customer list. Or if you have the pixel on your website, which I guess we haven't covered the pixel, I might talk about that more in a second. But then you can just tell Facebook to look at all the purchases that have been made on your website and create a lookalike audience off of that. So it looks at your Facebook pixel data on your website to build a lookalike audience, or you can upload an email list that it matches to people on Facebook. You can create a lookalike audience off of that. I think testing both of those strategies is good. The last time I tested that, I actually saw uploading the email list work better, which I kind of think maybe the website data could work better, but then also, like, if you've got traffic running through your Instagram or your Facebook page, you can go create, and this is one that I've seen be extremely effective. As long as there's data on the Instagram profile, like it's had some traffic and some reach over the past while or whatever, if you go into, and it's related to whatever it is that you're selling, if you create lookalike audiences, custom audiences based off of your Instagram data, so you can do like people who follow you, people who have interacted with your profile in the past year or whatever, like just there's several different options in there, but I've seen that work really well. If the Instagram profile is related and has data, creating audiences custom and lookalike off of your Instagram data, that can work really well. So that's all. I think that kind of covers everything for lookalike. Pixel, by the way, is just what you're going to need in order to track everything. So you need to make sure, like, if you're selling something and you can't, like Like I had someone, this was I think just last week, who was trying to run Facebook ads, but is trying to do it through Vimeo. It was like selling a course on Vimeo, and you can't place the pixel on Vimeo. So basically, he wants to run ads, but he can't track conversions through like Facebook. So it makes it really hard to figure out if your ads are profitable, which ads are working, which ones are not. It just makes the whole testing thing a lot harder. You can be profitable, and there are some more roundabout ways to figure it out, but man, the pixel is like my advice. What I was trying to get at is my advice to him was, dude, ditch Vimeo and figure out a different site where you can place the pixel so you can actually track everything, because that's going to matter so much if you're trying to actually build this business and grow it and like have it turn into some real money. You need to 100% be able to track things. So pixel is super important. It's really easy to install. I've got videos on that. You literally just copy and paste a string of numbers into the back end of your website. But that allows you to track everything. It allows you to create custom audiences and lookalike audiences based off of people that have visited your website, based off of people that have added to cart, based off of people that have initiated checkouts, based off of people that have purchased, all sorts of different things. And those are a couple really good ones. So like if people have added to your cart or initiated checkout but didn't actually make the purchase, you can then set up what's called retargeting campaigns, where you can create audiences, custom audiences of people who added to cart or people who initiated checkout, or both, and then target those people again, and just kind of as like a nudge to get them to go finish the checkout. Because sometimes people just get distracted or forget or needed to go check something, like, and so that's oftentimes creating those little retargeting audiences based off of who's been visiting your website and adding to cart and stuff like that can be extremely effective. But the only way you can do that stuff is with the pixel installed. So that's where I really recommend that you use a website where you can just easily install the pixel, so that you don't have to find a bunch of roundabout ways to really track things. All right, I got to run right here pretty quick, but I'll try and just drop a couple more things here. So let's talk scaling and duplicating. And I think that actually will wrap this up pretty well. So scaling. So everything I just laid out, let's assume you're getting some conversions, then you're able to create some lookalikes. Now you're really in a spot where it's like, if you're making conversions, you're creating lookalikes, your lookalikes are converting, you're most likely really in a spot where all you most likely need to do at this point is just spend more money on your ads, because you figured it all out, you know what works, and literally just every dollar you put in is going to make you 4 or 10 or 20 back. So it's just more dollars in, get more back. So you really just need to figure out how to put more dollars in. And it's, don't do this. If you have an ad that's working, don't click edit and go to the budget section and change it from $20 to $100 a day and click publish. Do not do that. It's super annoying and frustrating. Oh, and then also I'll touch on like getting suspended and shut down real fast. But it's really annoying because Facebook has become, over the years, very finicky, very fragile, honestly. Like it's kind of a little bit of a joke even. But when it comes to, so I guess I'll get back to the scaling in a second, but with the suspensions and stuff, that's another thing, because Facebook is so finicky and fragile and they just get butthurt really easily. Make sure you've read up on your policies, like really like look into the policies and all that, and do your best to abide by them, because even if you are, you're still likely to get flagged for something. Like it just seems to always happen. And just know that left and right all the time, people are having Facebook accounts shut down for no good reason at all, and it's very difficult to get them back, if you can even ever get them back at all. So just a warning there, like that happens often. Sometimes it's right, like sometimes the person trying to run ads screwed something up and they deserve it, but I think probably maybe even more often than not, there's like, just because it's algorithms and bots trying to catch and shut stuff down, and then there's not really a live person you can contact to help you get, so it's just like it's a whole nightmare. But that happens. You're gonna, like, it's very likely that you'll see some ads get disapproved, get rejected for policy violations or whatever. And if you see that happen a few times, not a big deal, but try and like clean that up and make that, you can get away with a little bit of those. But if you like just continuously keep getting your ads rejected, then you can get your account shut down, and then also you can get your account shut down just for all sorts of other things. So just a heads up there, and a couple tips. But when it comes to scaling, when you try to start to spend more money, it can be difficult because it's really kind of frustrating. But Facebook can kind of pick that up as scammy or whatever. But so you got to be careful. You can't just be necessarily spending, like $100 a day and just be like, all right, I'm gonna spend $10,000 a day now, or be spending $5 a day and be like, all right, I'm spending $500 a day now. So once you have locked in targeting that works, targeting that converts, ads that convert, then you do want to start to spend more money, but you need to be a little bit careful about it. I like to see people be a bit aggressive, but do just be like a little bit careful here. And the way I think, so a couple different ways to scale, but kind of one of the main ways I like to do is like, if you've got an ad set that's working, just duplicate it, and in the duplicate, increase the daily budget. So that's one way to scale. And you can duplicate into a new campaign. You can duplicate into the same campaign. That's just more a question of how you want to organize things. But that's one way to increase how much you're spending, is just duplicate the ad set, increase the budget in the duplicate, and then click publish. And you can even, and then another way to do it, so that's called vertical scaling. Horizontal scaling is where you just create, say you're spending $20 a day on the ad set, just create 4 duplicates and don't change anything, just click publish, and now you'll have 5 ad sets spending $20 a day. So now you just scale to spending $100 a day. And I like that one a lot as well. Maybe I even use that one more often. But what I like to do is, like, if you do that, duplicate at least 3, because 1 or 2 out of the 3 will work and 1 or 2 won't. So don't expect just because 1 worked and you duplicated it 5 times, all those new 5 duplicates are just going to work perfectly. That's not the case. You always got to go and look at the data, see what's working and what's not. But the idea is that you duplicate 3, 1 or 2 work, and you just let those continue to run. And then also, duplicating into your lookalike audiences and then increasing budgets that way. And then also touched on a little bit earlier, but again, once you found some ad sets that are working, then I would even recommend just duplicating all of them into a new campaign and having that new campaign be a CBO campaign. So your budget is set at the campaign level instead of the ad set level now, but only on ad sets that have already been proven to convert and work and are duplicates of the original ones that worked. And then what I would say with that is, like, if you want each ad set to have like $20 a day and you've got 5 ad sets in there, then I would say your campaign level budget should probably be like $100, something like that. So kind of look at it that way. Oh, and then the other way you can scale and increase how much money you're making is finding better ad creative. So if you've already found audiences that working, you've been running an ad to that audience, that's been working. Well, if you can come up with a better ad creative, you could see that that improves your ROAS, which we haven't really talked about, but that's your return on ad spend. That's how much you want. That's going to be a number that indicates, and I've got videos that talk about that more, so go check that out. But ROAS is basically going to tell you how much money you're making. And so just simply changing your ad creative, putting a better ad creative in there, could increase your ROAS quite a bit. Even just changing the headline on your ad could increase your ROAS quite a bit.